I've said this before, and I feel like it's important to add to this. I'm not saying all doctors are bad. I'm saying that as we continue to shift into this newness, we're going to find that working with holistic doctors and adding this type of modality is going to be more effective across the board. No different than the cognitive therapy has a place to some degree. But if you're still talking about it 20 years later and you haven't improved, that's a problem. When you combine the cognitive therapy and the meditations, completely different result and quicker healing process, as opposed to simply talking about it. You're literally reliving it over and over again, and your body is feeling it over and over again. Therefore, you're still holding it over and over again. And I have heard from psychologists that they've had clients for 20 years. How is that helping anything? uh, One of the worst people that I worked with, they'd already been to psychologists and doctors and uh, had organs removed and all sorts of things, and still had the pain, still had the. To me, with my experiences, it makes more sense for healthcare to actually reach a point to help the person, not give a band aid and send them on their way. Oh, and I'll see you in a month. That doesn't seem like an ideal way to exist. It's also very costly. Uh, I think it's a minimum of 300 and plus to just see the doctor, even if they don't do anything to help. That didn't make any sense to me. So a lot of my path was finding the solutions beyond the limitations. Maybe it was a bad doctor. I should have gone to a different doctor, but I did, and then that doctor didn't, and then and I've worked with people that have gone to 6 different doctors, thousands of dollars later. 2 sessions, their stuff was completely gone. All of their pain completely gone because we addressed the cognitive aspect, why it's held in the body, and then we removed it. And at the same time, I've removed things from people, and then it's almost like a phantom limb. Well, wait, who am I without this? So they'd pull it back in and then have it again. I've had that happen a few times too. So I've learned, hey, are you sure you're ready? Because if you're ready, let's do this. I've even worked with a gentleman. He said he was ready on numerous occasions. I could sense that he was not. That he was like he's holding on really tight. And I was like, okay, it's like you have fear to allow it to let go. And I could hear him in his meditative state, and I can hear in the other side, family, lots of family, and holding on. At one point during that session, I had to pull strings of dead scorpions. You know how those paper, like um, icicle or snowflakes that you can make, or the people, and you cut them out and then you open it and they're all connected? That's what it was like, but they were dead, dark, dried up scorpions. I had to do a spiritual surgery and remove it. When he woke up out of the session, I asked him about that particular thing and other things, of course. I'm condensing for these videos. And I said, what was that? I at some point he said, oh, well, all my family are scorpions, or Scorpios, rather. Lots of stinging in his belly, hip area. So I had to pull that. He never got back with me, so I don't know his follow up. But that was one of the strangest experiences I had. I figured if things went wrong, he would have gotten back with me. He's a local. He was here local. I met him at Comic Con. One of my last palm readings that day. I had hundreds of card and palm readings that day, and he watched from afar, like Scorpios do. He was a Scorpio too. And he came in at the very end before I was about to be, I was already done, but I could sense he needed it. So, he That he just needed one session and he got that out of him. So those are, again, some of the possibilities if you would like to address those. And when you address things in this state, the fully conscious state, if you will, it's a different response to look at it and be like, I don't want to think about that. That hurts, so we change the subject, we deflect, we work or eat or all the things that distract, right? How many aholics can you do, to distract? Been there, done that, right? However, when you're in a meditative state, it's easier to look over those owies because you're in a theta state, not in the alpha and the straight up, and we got to look at it really hard. Now I can look at them and it doesn't hurt anymore, my own, right? But for those that are still deflecting and still just not comfortable to really just face it, that's why the meditative state is so helpful, because then when you wake out of the meditative state, so many times the people will just go, my dad used to do this, my mom used to, and they just have to release all of it. And it's a different aspect than the cognitive therapy part, because they have literally, we have broken it free and it's out of them. So on a verbal level, they can, and then it's out of them. I've said this many times too. Maybe this is a good point to say it. When our soul is injured, then our mind repeats it. And then it starts to show in our body. So when we can address the first moment, it can release out of the body, then out of the mind. And even more so with the dimensions that we have, we're holding it in those. So once you break all of those free, you're walking around in a freer state, as opposed to holding all that denseness and pain. So if you'd like to work directly with me, you can find the information on my link on the main wall where links live. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can find my webpage link where that's listed.